Breaking news. Donald Trump and the U.S. military has gone into Venezuela and captured Nicolas Maduro and his wife. It was a Delta Force team that went in and extracted him, and he's supposedly now out of the country. Whereabouts? We don't know yet, but there will be an update from the president at around 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. This capture of Nicolas Maduro, the seizure of 2 oil tankers, and attacks on various drug boats has been leading up for quite a while. Why? He says it's over drugs, cocaine coming out of Venezuela and into the US, but I think there's a bigger motive behind it, and it deals with oil, a commodity that we discuss on this channel, as well as precious metals, and they've been rising significantly over the last couple of months. So as we enter more uncertain times around the world, I think the metals will continue to rise. So it begs me to ask, why Venezuela? And I think it really comes down to his oil, maybe the guise of drugs, and a few other things that I'm going to be discussing after the end of this video clip, discussing the actual capture by CBS Chicago News.
Let's get right to breaking news overnight. After launching military strikes on Venezuela's capital, President Trump says the United States has captured the country's president, Nicolas Maduro. Asal Razai in the newsroom now with the very latest. Asal.
Yeah, Suzanne, there's still a lot we don't know, but as of this morning, U.S. citizens in Venezuela are being told to shelter in place. U.S. officials warning people against traveling there as we begin to see this conflict ramp up. The president claims U.S. forces captured Maduro and his wife and have flown them out of the country. Sources tell CBS News the Army's elite Delta Force carried out the operation to capture Maduro. U.S. officials are also told CBS News President Trump ordered the strikes on sites inside Venezuela, including military facilities. The strikes come after months of U.S. military buildup in the region, including multiple warships that have been positioned in the Caribbean. The U.S. seized 2 oil tankers off Venezuela's coast and launched deadly strikes on more than 30 boats the Trump administration says was carrying drugs.
There is no other military force that would be capable of mounting this kind of an operation using multiple targets, going after multiple targets. And it seems like they're sequencing the attack as well. So given that, it's a very sophisticated operation, and that would indicate that there's a major power behind this effort.
We know Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth serves on the Senate Armed Services Committee. Sources say the committee was not notified ahead of any potential military action taken in Venezuela overnight. President Trump says he'll speak about this later this morning from Mar-a-Lago. We expect to hear from him about 10 o'clock our time. Live in the newsroom this morning, I'm Asal Razai, CBS News Chicago. Suzanne.
Now, why did Trump actually order the Delta Force to go into Venezuela, capture Maduro? I think it has more to do with drugs. It has to do with oil, Venezuela being the largest oil reserve in the world. And I also think it has partly to do with gold. Venezuela repatriated their gold out of London over a decade ago. So they do have quite a bit of gold holdings. But more so, Venezuela is a very resource-rich country, including gold, minerals, oils, all of it. So I think this is a play more to nationalize and take over the Venezuelan resources under the guise of drugs. This is Trump's plan, is my suspicion, but it does make a lot of sense. Now, why Venezuela? Well, Venezuela was one of the richest countries in the world into the 80s and early 90s. Then socialism took over, and since then, the country has been on decline. And with the socialism, there came nationalization. There was a lot of companies from US and Canada operating in Venezuela. They all got booted out pretty much. The resources were taken over. And then the Russians moved in to operate these facilities. And China's probably involved with it too. So I think this is more of a backlash towards Venezuela because of Russia being involved in their country, as well as possibly China. More so than the actual guise of drugs. So as we enter a world where resources are very important, in particular precious metals, as they've been rising over the last few years, and more so in the last year, silver has had a great run, and there's a silver short squeeze going on right now. I think the precious metals will continue to rise going into 2026 and beyond. Oil, I'm neutral on because there's an abundance of it, and it seems like the global economy is slowing down. So, that being said, I think this, let's call it an invasion into Venezuela, is more about the resources that Venezuela has because they did nationalize a lot of the resource sector in Venezuela and kicked out American and Canadian companies. It's a bit of a backlash and a retaliation. I hope you enjoyed this video. We are going to be having more videos on precious metals and the resource sector in general. This week I have an interview with David Morgan, as well as a few other experts in the space later on this month, such as Michael DiLorenzo from the Silver Institute, where we'll be talking about precious metals, the pricing of the metals in the markets, how it's done. We'll be discussing the pricing mechanism of silver with David Morgan between the COMEX, the LBMA, and the Shanghai Metals Exchange. So if you did like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Watch the videos that are coming up about gold and silver, and we'll talk to you soon.